During World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union fought together as allies against the Axis powers. However, the relationship between the two nations was a tense one. Americans had long been wary of Soviet communism and were concerned about Russian leader Joseph Stalin's bloodthirsty rule of his own country. For their part, the Soviets resented the Americans' decades-long refusal to treat the USSR as a legitimate part of the international community, as well as their delayed entry into World War II, which resulted in the deaths of millions of Russians. After the war ended, these grievances ripened into an overwhelming sense of mutual distrust. To get a better insight into what caused the Cold War to develop, we listened to Dr. Kelly Clancy talk about the circumstances that created such high tension between the two countries.
So, after World War II, they were trying to figure out what to do with the destroyed international order, and so they decided that there were a series of conferences, and the victors of World War II tried to figure out sort of how to redivide up Europe, and so Germany becomes sort of ground zero for that, right? And so they divide Berlin between the United States and Britain and the Soviet sector and the East German sector. And so that becomes sort of the beginning of these negotiations, which would happen at Yalta. And then there's this moment of tenuous peace, right, where the Marshall Plan goes into effect, and so the United States starts to try to put massive amounts of money into rebuilding Europe. But very quickly, the world redivides again, and it's the United States on one side, and it's Russia, or the Soviet Union on the other, right? And so it becomes very quickly the international organizing principle of the United States versus the Soviet Union. And so the United States gets West Germany, in terms of the way that things are organized, and then most of the Western European states, and they become NATO allies, right? And so this is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and they have a pact that says that an attack on one of their countries is an aggression against all, and so this becomes the way that the United States guarantees the security of all of the Western European countries. And so the idea is that the United States guarantees their security militarily and says, rebuild your cities, rebuild your social structures, and if the Soviets aggress again, then we'll have your back. And then the Soviets do the same thing for the Warsaw Pact countries. And so on the other side of the line, the Soviet Union is obviously huge, and then you have these independent states that are under Soviet sort of jurisdiction. And so those are East Germany, Romania, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Poland, and so those countries are behind what becomes the Iron Curtain. And so by the late 40s, early 50s, the world has been redivided into U.S. and Soviet spheres of influence. So in the United States, there very quickly becomes this fear of communism, and the fear of communism takes on a whole bunch of different attributes. And so people think about communism as insidious, as infectious, as underground, and you have to remember that before this, the Communist Party was a party people were members of, right? And so it was sort of a viable alternative to existing parties. And so just like you might be a member of the Green Party, people are members of the Communist Party. And so the Communist Party becomes basically a way to sort of start blackballing people in the United States.
The term cold is used because there was no large-scale fighting directly between the two sides, although there were major regional wars known as proxy wars supported by the two sides. Even without large-scale fighting between the US and the Soviet Union, the Cold War and its events have left a significant legacy on our country as well as the rest of the world. With modern-day tension between the United States and Russia getting high, it makes one wonder if we will return to a heightened sense of panic and fear surrounding the possibility of war.